what's happening, y'all? Welcome back to the Media Goose channel. It is I, the Media Goose, your friend Ryan, and the goose is loose, baby. Huh? And I'm coming at you today to talk about Batman Returns, the second movie in the Tim Burton Batman, I was going to say trilogy, but unfortunately he does not make it to a trilogy. This is the last movie directed by Tim Burton. And that was apparently because of how dark this movie was. This didn't sell well to children because this is a very dark, disgusting movie. And I can attest to that because as a child, this movie scared the crap out of me. Especially the Penguin. My God, Penguin was so scary and disgusting and unsettling. He's scary in the same way Vincent D'Onofrio as the villain of Men in Black is. Just grotesque to look at. And the Red Triangle Circus Gang being so like freak show oriented also just adds to the creepiness. This honestly has a lot of like horror movie vibes. And I think if you're a child, that'll especially be the case. But coming back to it as an adult, I absolutely love this movie. I feel like rewatching this movie now, the Tim Burton movies are the most Batman of all of the Batman movies. This movie feels like Gotham the Animated Series come to life. That opening of the Cobblepot Manor, you're zooming in on the manor just like you would on Wayne Manor. I love the fact that this movie really kind of shows the parallel journeys of Oswald Cobblepot and Bruce Wayne. Even Max says it at one point. If his parents didn't drop him in the sewer, you two might have been bunkies at camp. And that's real. And I love the fact that when you see Bruce watching it on the news, he sympathizes with him, because of course he does. He was also born to an elite family. It didn't go the same way as it went for the Penguin, but it didn't go well for Bruce either. And this whole opening, the fact that Pee Wee Herman is the Penguin's father, the fact that as the Penguin's father is walking into the nursery where the Penguin was given birth to, the nurses and doctors are leaving in disgust at this monster. And then you cut to the parents drinking together at a window, and you turn and see that they have their baby in a cage. And there's a little duck hanging off the front of the cage, and that's like a teaser for his Penguin mobile that comes later. And then a cat walks up, and he eats it. And that teases Penguin and Catwoman. I mean, he doesn't get to eat Catwoman in the way that he would hope to, but that opening scene is so effective. And then we see the parents dump the Penguin. It's like a Shakespearean tragedy. A monster born in a wealthy family, and the family is ashamed. And one of the things that struck a chord with me, when he goes to see their graves later, it says beloved husband and beloved wife, but not father and mother. So they never even acknowledged Oswald. It's really messed up. And then we cut to 33 years later at this Christmas tree lighting at Gotham Plaza. And the first thing I thought was just how dark it all was. Even this Christmas tree, this beacon of light and hope and community. And it can't even penetrate the darkness of Gotham. Gotham is just so gloomy and disgusting looking and bleak. Oh my God, it's amazing. And the fact that it's Christmas now, so it's covered in ice. It's all snowy. And the fact that it makes you think of Mr. Freeze, but I don't even want to think of the Mr. Freeze that we end up getting. I'm really enjoying talking about these two Burton movies because I'm not going to enjoy talking about Batman and Robin. That's a movie. The next two movies in this franchise were made for me as a kid when they came out, and not for me, the adult. But for this movie, I had so much fun with it. That opening, that beginning with the lighting of the Christmas tree, and the circus gang attacks. And it's immediately right into the action. And Christopher Walken is involved now, Max Shrek, before Shrek had different connotations. This is my swamp. But we just jump right into the action with the circus gang attacking, and they're opening fire on the Christmas tree and at the community around the Christmas tree. And it's just wild the way they explode out of this present. It's people on stilts, people on motorcycles, clowns, all from this one box. It's awesome. It's like a clown car where things just keep pouring out of it. There's also Max Shrek having to give his own speech because Selena forgot to give it to him. Selena Kyle, y'all. I posted this on my Instagram while I was rewatching it. If you're ever having a conversation about the best villain performances of all time, you need to bring up Michelle Pfeiffer. She is incredible in this movie. And her incredible performance in this movie made me think Vicky Vale and Catwoman are two very capable women in Batman's life. Shout out to Tim Burton. He didn't make them damsels in distress in either case, really. Vicky kind of had to be saved a few times, but it wasn't the typical, saving the cat moment like we get later with the Penguin. But then we find out that this whole attack was to lure Max Shrek into the sewers. But before we can get to that, Batman shows up. One cool thing about this movie, you don't really spend time with Bruce Wayne until a half hour into the movie. We have this initial scene where the Batmobile shows up and it gets to show off all of the gadgets of the Batmobile. It extends out to take down those stilt drivers. It shows all of the tricks up Batman's sleeves. And it's just so much fun. And the action is really great. And one of the clowns takes Selena hostage and Batman knocks the guy out. And it's so funny seeing Selena in her original form before she becomes Catwoman, this swaggering badass. But here at the beginning, she's Seymour Krelborn. She's very... It's like that trope that got annoying over time. It eventually became Jamie Foxx in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Or Killian in Iron Man 3. That I'm a nerd and then I turn into something badass. They're all copying what Michelle Pfeiffer did incredibly well here. It didn't feel she didn't feel unnatural as this character. The Selena we meet, that's the assistant, is a really great character. She talks to herself a ton. She goes home and you kind of see her living in this all pink apartment and she doesn't fit in it. And I just really love the way they write Selena Kyle here. And then we get into the sewer with Max and Oswald, or right now, the Penguin. And this scene is just excellent. Penguin getting to show off his umbrellas. The amount of toys and gadgets is crucial to Batman, in my opinion. So seeing the umbrella that shoots bullets, the one that just shoots loud blanks, it all just makes the world feel so fun and campy. And it's funny that this movie has it basically lost Tim Burton his job, but there's a ton of camp in this movie, in my opinion. Granted, it's camp to a 32-year-old who is obsessed with Batman, and there is a lot of darkness in this movie, so I get that, but that scene in the sewer between the two, I just love how Christopher Walken also brings this really grounded, level-headed performance. He doesn't get swept up in the fact that he's talking to a deranged penguin. He's still Christopher Walken delivering his lines like kind of he reminds me of Jack Napier from the first Batman movie. Watching this movie, I did think like, oh, it would be so fun to see Joker interact with these people. Then let's see what else we've got going on. Yes, then we get Max and Selina both going back to the office after hours, and she pushes a little too far, reveals a little too much, and Max pushes her out a window. And as she's falling, she goes through these awnings that have cat faces on it. I guess a cat is like the symbol of... I don't know if it's just that Shrek department store, or if a cat is like the symbol of Shrek, like, enterprises, because there's that big spitting cat head. And the awnings that slow down her fall so she doesn't die all have cat faces. So she literally descends into Catwoman. And you see all of the cats swarming her, and her eyes start rolling, and her eyes burst open. And we don't leave her. We stay with her as she returns home, and she starts listening to her voicemails again. And she goes through everything she went through the first time that she showed up to her apartment. She does the "honey, I'm home. Oh, right. I'm not married." It's all the same, but now deranged. Now it's Catwoman going through these things, not Selina Kyle. She starts chugging milk, and she gets voicemails about this perfume, and it says, "A perfume that will make your boss schedule an after-hours meeting for the two of you," which naturally triggers Selina because she just had an after-hours meeting with her boss that ended with her tossed out a window. Defenestrated. I never get to use the word defenestrated, but it's such a good word to throw someone out a window. And then she snaps into creating her suit. And it's just incredible. The hello there on the wall became hell here. Oh my God. Catwoman, this performance is unreal. I don't know about you, Miss Kitty, but I feel so much yummier. It is sexy. And maybe that's another reason why parents were upset, because of the overt sexual nature of this movie. And then getting more into the Penguin, as the Penguin starts running for mayor and everything. One of the things that did, I'm not going to say took me out, but I could get people being upset by, was the sexual side of Penguin. But this is a man who was in the sewers doing God knows what for God knows how long, and now he's expected to interact with society as a normal person. Of course that won't be the case, and he would have those gross moments. I think it fits the character. And the part where the Penguin bites that guy's nose off, Jesus. That scene scared the hell out of me as a kid. That scene was one where I'd like run out of the room because he's so disgusting as he's eating that fucking fish, and it's like falling apart and falling out of his mouth. It's just disgusting to look at. And the fact that Max is like luring him with a fish. Max Schreck is like the ultimate manipulator in this movie. Watching it, I did kind of have a feeling of like, I wonder why this couldn't have been a character from the first movie to just kind of build out your universe, but that wasn't really a mindset of movies back then, so I understand, but I would have liked to see Harvey Dent involved in here, Billy Dee come back, maybe not directly as the Max Schreck role, but maybe Max reaching out to Harvey when he's looking for candidates. And then we have the literal rescue the cat moment, but it's a baby. Mac's dad from It's Always Sunny jumps in, kidnaps the mayor's baby, and jumps into the sewers, hands it to the Penguin, and the Penguin emerges as this hero, this deus ex machina who saved the baby. And this is like his big reveal to the public. And it's Penguin as a sympathetic figure. And then we check in with Bruce, and it's the first time we see Bruce and Alfred in this movie. Besides when Bruce sees the bat signal and jumps into action earlier. 35 minutes into it, we go back to Bruce. For all of that time, we were developing Max, Selina, and the Penguin. And I think this movie really benefits from that. Which sounds crazy, like a movie with less Batman and Bruce Wayne, but I like the fact that we're not doing expositional things with Batman. We're building up these other characters, so then Batman and Bruce, we know them. So when we spend time with them, it's like it's familiar. And of course, Bruce sympathizes for the Penguin because he lost his parents when he was a kid. And Alfred says, Master Wayne, is anything wrong? And he says, oh yeah, his parents. I hope he finds them. And it's really honest. And one of the things I wrote down as like a, maybe not a criticism, but the entire like first half of this movie, Alfred feels like he's in a different movie. Alfred like only says things to antagonize Bruce. Where he's like, why are you focused on proving the Penguin isn't who he seems? Like, he's defending the Penguin. I don't know. The first half of the movie, I just kind of felt like Alfred was being used as a script, a tool to get certain lines out of Bruce, but it wasn't always natural to Alfred, in my opinion. But I did like the line he says where he says, must you be the only lonely beast in town? This Alfred just feels like Grandpa. Like, I kind of prefer the Andy Serkis or Gotham version of Alfred where he's like ex-MI6 and he kind of helps train Bruce a little bit. But Grandpa Alfred also has a place in my heart. It's just I don't know that I loved the writing of Alfred for the first half of this movie. But it does turn for the second half. Then it feels like Alfred's on his team again. And I really enjoy as well. Every time the Penguin is in public, there are cameras and it's all a spectacle. And it all reeks of a politician, even before the running for mayor becomes like official. It feels like a politician, and you know that Max at the beginning of the movie was looking for a new candidate, a new person to put in front. So it makes sense that he would be looking at Oswald for that. And oh my God, then we have Catwoman stopping that mugging. And she says, be gentle, it's my first time. She uses seduction and sexiness as like a weapon. She weaponizes it against men and Batman, especially later on. I am Catwoman, hear me roar. So damn good. And then we get Max and Bruce, that scene. And I really enjoyed that. Those two kind of faces of Gotham facing off against each other and acknowledging they're about to go to war against each other in like the political space. And Max says, mayors come and go. Just right out in the open, basically saying, I'll kill that motherfucker. This interaction between them is awesome. And Bruce, showing off the fact that he is a detective, calls the Penguin a crime boss. He had done the detective work earlier when Alfred was accosting him for some reason. He was doing the detective work to find out Oswald's background. I love this Bruce Wayne. Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne. He might have knocked off Batfleck. I think he might be my favorite. And then we get the Penguin and Catwoman coming together. And I really enjoy that scene between them where I mean, it's probably what most women have to deal with all the time, especially like attractive, not to say only attractive women deal with this kind of attention, but to have a man like Oswald hitting on you and like objectifying you, I think that is a lived experience for women. And Oswald being a creep, it all just makes sense for the characters. So I understand like balking at the sexual nature between those two, but again, I think it makes sense. She weaponizes it against him. And then we get Batman, Penguin, and Catwoman all together as Batman is fighting with the circus gang again, and then he finds Oswald, and Catwoman just, I think, like, I don't know what she was doing, front handsprings, back, I don't know what the move was called, but she flips into screen and stops. They look at her, she looks at them. Meow. Boom! Explosion! One of the best moments in Batman history. I feel like the direction of this movie, the style that Tim Burton uses with the camera is just amazing. And then Selina and Bruce. Oh my goodness. This is one of my favorite scenes like ever for Batman. That scene with Christian Bale and Anne Hathaway is a bad ripoff of this scene between Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer. This entire sequence is incredible. One, the fact that it kind of feels like Eyes Wide Shut, the elite celebrating in weird masks and things. In Sweeney Todd, that's where his wife gets taken advantage of and raped by the ruling class. And to pick up there, and it's Bruce and Max again kind of squaring off with each other, and then Bruce and Selina find each other, and they have this incredibly personal moment. It is this huge party, and nothing matters besides this little bubble they've created around each other. And the shot where Selina looks up and Batman like kisses her neck and she says mistletoe. And that scene from earlier where she's on top of him and they talk about mistletoe, they say the same lines, but they reverse them. Oh my God, how incredible is that writing? The writing of that scene was when they had the moment of, I had full body goosebumps. It was so well executed in the camera work and everything. I loved Selina and Bruce's time together. Their date they had before they had to spring into action, where they talk about Vicky. It's not one of those things where, like, you question whether it's a contract disagreement, why this actress isn't back. Or no, they're just talking about Vicky. It's not a matter of, like, I have to figure out why that character is not here. They make it a part of the story that it didn't work out. And then back to their dance together when she's like, oh, do we have to fight now? Oh my God, I just love it so much. This heartbreaking love story in the midst of this chaotic movie. And then when it is Catwoman, and Penguin teaming up against Batman to make him look like the enemy. And then again, Penguin tries to consummate their fiendish union and tries to have his way with Catwoman. And when she denies him, he spurns her and puts her on an umbrella to fly off into oblivion. And she escapes and she collapses into a botanical garden, which I thought was a fun, like, Poison Ivy reference. And then we get all of the ending. And I'm not just going to sit here and go through the ending with you, but I so thoroughly enjoy this movie, y'all. I really think I enjoy the Tim Burton Batman movies more than I enjoy the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. They're kind of Oscar bait, man, more than Batman. And I love them. And The Dark Knight's still my favorite movie. But if I want to watch a Batman movie, Batman and Batman Returns feel distinctly more like a Batman movie than anything Christopher Nolan did. And the villains in this movie live up to Nicholson, in my opinion. Michelle Pfeiffer is by far the best Catwoman, and if it's not her, it's the one from the 60s, not Anne Hathaway or Zoe Kravitz. Respect to both of them, and I love both performances. It doesn't live up to Michelle Pfeiffer. And Danny DeVito. His character terrified me. I've always wanted to play the Penguin. As I've become older and an actor, it's probably because he's allowed to be fat and I'm overweight, so there's that connection. But having seen Colin Farrell's Penguin now, which is like kind of the way I've always wanted to play it, the like Gotham arms dealer, like a New York thug. And then you have the monstrous, animalistic, he's almost like Caliban from The Tempest, this Penguin. And I would love to see what it would mean if you combined them. And maybe that's why I gotta play the Penguin one day. Not gonna lie though, the Penguin on the show Gotham was also excellent, and he kinda does walk that line. But I gotta keep putting out in the universe that I'll play the Penguin one day. So y'all, let me know what you thought of Batman Returns. I think this is an excellent movie. I can understand why the studio decided it had to go to a more kid-friendly third installment. But I'll always wish Tim Burton got to keep living in this universe with his characters. If he came back for a third, we would have gotten Keaton again. We might have gotten... I mean, there's like a whole leaked version of what it would have been if it was Tim Burton's movie. Maybe I have to do a kind of walkthrough of that one day. What would have been, I think it was called Batman Unchained, which would have had like, I think Two-Face and the Scarecrow as the villains. I think that's what it was going to be, but regardless, y'all, that's it for Batman Returns. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. And Batman Forever, I liked it a lot as a kid. I love Jim Carrey. It's going to be interesting to see how it all lands with me this time. Because I do have a really sweet spot in my heart for this movie. Because I was a kid when it came out. But now I'm an adult who loves Batman. So I wonder how it's going to hit with me. So y'all, let me know what you thought of Batman Returns below. Do you like the Tim Burton Batman and Gotham as much as I do? It kind of feels the most like the animated series that I've ever seen. I think it's my favorite Gotham ever created, and I think Michael Keaton has ascended to my favorite Batman after this rewatch. So y'all, hit the like button, comment down below. Let me know what you think of Batman Returns and who your favorite Catwoman is. Thank you for hanging out today, guys. The goose is out. Hi.